Mastery is not found in force. It's found in clarity, in presence, in self-discipline. When you think about self-mastery, you probably think about this crazy long journey that you have to go on and all these special skills and techniques that you have to learn. But really it's just about changing your core beliefs and your identity. So I was reading the Book of Five Rings recently again. It's a really good book. I think everyone should read it. And this podcast is going to be a few ideas from that book. The reason I wanted to talk about the book is I've talked about a few different books and I will talk about more books. But when I read a book, I try to take the philosophy into my life. So just because the Book of Five Rings was wrote by a samurai years and years and years ago, it doesn't mean it's not. I can't look at that and go, no, that's a samurai, it's a different lifestyle, that's nothing to do with me. I can look at that and go, right, what can I take from this that has been knowledge from masters and samurais and a culture and a way of life? What can I take that to bring into my own life? So I want to talk about a few different aspects from the book. And if you've read the book, you feel free to message in and let me know what you thought of the book as well. So one of the things I wrote here is you must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. This has been a saying that I have used in all of my careers for forever, especially in martial arts. I used to meet a lot of different people from a lot of different martial arts, and they would talk about how theirs is the way. This is the only way to do it. This is the way to the best martial art, and it's been proven, and blah 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 blah. And then UFC came around and sort of fucked up that whole conversation for those sorts of people because you're going, well, this guy just does MMA. He doesn't do any kung fu, and he's battering people. So I would try to explain to them that we're all trying to get to the peak. The peak is self mastery. That's the peak of the mountain, in my view. And there's many paths, and sometimes your paths will cross, and then you can go off on another one, or sometimes you'll just stick to your path and you'll get there eventually. I like to think of the flow of learning rather than being locked in the one path. I'm happy to take a detour to learn a skill and then come back to the path, or to realize that skill is actually going to take me to where I want to go faster. So when you're thinking about achieving anything, don't be biased because the first person that started teaching it, this is how they did it. That doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. There's many paths to making £1 million. There's many paths to being a successful business owner. There's many paths to being a successful man. You have to be willing to walk the path and continually walk it until you get to the peak. And like I said, the peak is self-mastery. So you're not trying to cling to one method or system. The true mastery is in an adaptive mindset. When I first started martial arts, like most people back then, anyway, when there wasn't as much social media, YouTube wasn't even a thing as far as I mind. And actually, the internet mightn't even been a thing yet. I can't remember my exact dates, but about 25 years ago, roughly. That's how old I am. The art I was told was the art. This is this is lineage back to Shaolin. You can't go wrong with it. And then when I started to meet other wrestlers and jiu-jitsu people, judo players, wushu guys, I started to see like maybe what I'm doing is really good, but that thing was cool. And then when I look at it, I think, oh, that would fit into this move I'm doing. And I started, thankfully, I was never good at school, so I was never good at being locked into one way. So I was an adaptive thinker, and I started to sneak wee arm drags in that I'd learned. So we did a version of an arm drag, but then I learned the wrestling version of the step, and I thought, well, that's much more powerful, and that works for me because I'm smaller. So it started to work on opponents that I had in the art that I was in. And then I just started to realize that we're all climbing the same mountain. We're just taking different paths, and if I can be open and be willing to walk the path with people every so often, then I'm going to get better at what I do. So don't take one method. I see this when I work with business owners. We've always done that. So I suggest ways to change their branding. change the way they work their social media, change the way they interact with their customers and their clients. And good enough seems to be great. No, sure, this is good enough. It's been working. You're like, it is working. It is good enough, but a few wee tweaks and it could be great and amazing. And then you could actually be able to take a step back from the business rather than having to be the main anchor of every situation within your business. So don't get stuck down in one method. Practice with purpose. So you can only fight the way you practice. So I used to give off all the time when guys were holding pads. They'd be sort of looking around them, and you just know they were waiting for their turn to actually get to hit the pad. And I was saying, when I'm holding the pads, I'm practicing punches coming at me, kicks coming at me, and watching my opponent. How do they move before they strike? What way are they dodging? What is happening? It should be together. You're progressing defensively, offensively, and technically. When you just stand and you're just doing this, when then it comes to sparring half an hour later, you're really good at throwing strikes because you've been really focused and present and practicing. But it's why you get hit so much, because you're not present. You're flinching still because you haven't been practicing. You're holding pads way out instead of in front and meeting in front, so that you're practicing not flinching as much when things come at you. So anything that you do, so if you sit down to set something up for your business and you're super stressed about it, and you're getting in and you're like, right, I need to get this done, and it's a stressful thing, that's how you're going to do it. Then your base level is going to be stress, and then when anything happens, you're going to get even more stressed. Whereas if I know I have to do this and I sit down and I settle myself and I go, right, I'm about to do this, I'm going to do some breathing, do some grounding, do some meditation, whatever it is that actually settles your energy, then you can go in and practice from a mindful, emotionally, physically, mentally controlled position. So then the more you do that, that's how you'll just start dealing with things in day-to-day life. Detach from the outcome. So the quote I've wrote here is, do nothing that is of no use. So don't train for approval, don't act from emotion, eliminate wasted energy, words, scroll time, self-pity, ego, battles. Keep your movement sharp and your mind clear. Those are just a wee quick, like if I had this wrote down in front of me, this is something I would have wrote years ago, had it on a wee post-it note, and I would have looked at that and be like, right, detach from the outcome. And then every time I see that, it would remind me to just stay focused on where I want to go. Like, I don't want to sit scrolling. Like, scrolling is very addictive, and a lot of people just get caught up in it. And I know, because I was doing so much social media, then I would catch myself seeing what everybody else is doing, and an hour would pass, and you'd be thinking, fuck me, I just sit in a terrible posture scrolling. So I set timer app. I have a timer app on my phone. So every 20 minutes, each app has 20 minutes, which is enough for me to go on, upload podcasts, upload images, have a wee look to see what's going on, and then that's the app done with. And that's on 3 apps, and that's an hour of my day. So still an hour of my day can be used scrolling, and this is present active scrolling, because I know I'm on the app to do a job. So how long are you, if you actually go in now, people do not like doing this if they've never done it before, go in and check your digital well-being and just see how much time you actually spend weekly on your phone or daily on your phone, just doom scrolling and just getting nothing out of it. So try to detach from the outcome. So I know I'm trying to get this self-mastery, but I'm detached from it. I'm not, everything I do guides me towards it, but I'm not waking up every day like rushing to it and thinking, I have to do this, I have to do this. Most of what I do, I want to do. Like, I really enjoy doing podcasts. I enjoy doing the social media posts that I do, but then say the carousel posts, I fucking hate doing them. So they if you go and look at my socials, very rarely get done. So I just couldn't be bothered doing them. But everything that I do them whenever I come up with something that specifically needs a carousel post, but I just don't go out of my way to do them. But that does not detract from the rest, like the podcast and the posts that go related to it. So you're still thinking about the self mastery, but you're not locked in. I have to go this way to get there. You're allowing yourself to detour. So an example that comes to mind, I helped sail a boat from Carrickfergus to Plymouth. It took about 9 days. I'd been on a P&O ferry before, but never been on a boat. And there was a part somewhere, I think it's called Lizard's Head, and the captain had said to me, once we pass Lizard's Head, we've broke the back of the journey, so then we're on the home straight. So I was super pumped because been on for ages, and I was like, yes, it's going to take about an hour to get past here. And then the wind just shifted. So rather than being able to go straight, I was a sailboat, so I had to go with the wind. I had to tack 5 degrees back and forward like a fucking snake. It took about 17 hours to do that 1 hour journey. So when my main goal was to pass, still get to Plymouth, but initially was to pass this point. But if I had tried to go straight and tried to fight the sea and force it, I would never have got there. But I knew that if I just tacked back and forward and just worked slowly at it, I would eventually get there. So sometimes you're going in a straight line and other times you're going in a zigzag. But it's all, as long as you keep focusing on where you're going, you'll eventually get there. So detach from the outcome and just do all of the little habits that you know create the outcome in the end up anyway. So the challenge for today is 1 day, 1 way practice. So for 24 hours, move through the day like a warrior. So all the things that we've been talking about on this podcast. Speak less and observe more. So anytime you go into a coffee shop or you're having a conversation with someone, try to speak less and just observe more. So read the body language, listen to the tone, listen to the speed, the cadence, everything that they're doing, and try to just observe a lot more and see what you can learn from the non-verbals as well as the verbal. And when you go into a coffee shop, just scan it, look around, don't be a weirdo and stare at people, but just scan around and use your peripheral just to see what's going on within that coffee shop. Be deliberate in every action. So brushing your teeth, going to the gym, to just brush your teeth. So when I'm doing my teeth, a lot of time I'm standing on one leg. Mine's is electric, so I don't squiggle around. I basically just move. But if you're a squiggle brusher and I go from one leg to the other, every 30 seconds the thing beeps and I just move. But I want you deliberately, you're trying to get into your psyche and more self-awareness, basically build more self-awareness. So whatever you're doing, pay full attention in that moment. Don't be brushing your teeth thinking, right, after this I need to do this and then I need to do that. Just be in the moment, brush your teeth. When you're in the gym, like Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about this a lot, he would see people in the gym and they would just be arm curling and they're looking around them and they're just not focused. And he was like, one of the reasons he was bigger than everybody else was because everything he did was full focus, full awareness on the actual movement. So bring your full presence and intention into everything that you do for 24 hours. And then feel free to reach out to me to let me know how you get on with that, or what did you notice. You're going to notice things, like you're going to notice things about the way people talk to you, the way you talk to people, how often you just are in automatic default switch off mode and you're not paying attention, you're making your coffee and you're just looking around you. Like doing this will get you more switched on to yourself and switched on to how often you actually switch off. And like we've been saying for a long time here, the more present you are, the more you can achieve in the direction that you actually want to go in. So let me know how you get on with that. And until then, have a super awesome day, whatever you get up to, and I'll speak to you again soon.